Okay. Hi, my name is Estelle Minsman. I'm the president of the Junior Leadership Club, and we have our guest, Emmanuel Boone Milton, here today to answer some questions. So can you please tell us about how you're involved in 4-H?
Yeah, so I'm involved with 4-H. Well, let me take it back. I was a 4-H'er. My mom wanted to bring, and it's kind of a cool story to bring here. My mom wanted to bring some more diversity in 4-H, so she started a 4-H club at her school, Brookstown Elementary. And, you know, just to bring more young black kids in the 4-H space and just kind of, you know, bring, you know, some diversity in the space. And, you know, because I was a kid, I was able to, you know, just kind of join in on some activities. I didn't have a 4-H at my school.
Yeah.
So I joined in on a couple activities, and it really brought a lot of joy into my life. And a lot of other people who, if, you know, 4-H wasn't around, you know, wouldn't have had opportunities like that to go to Camp Grant Walker, to get certain fees waived and things like that. So I really think that, you know, that was really important, and I'm just really excited I was able to experience 4-H, and that's why I come back as an adult and continue to help and give back, because I saw what kind of impact it had on me and other kids that come from the walk of life that I come from.
So with giving back, what are some of the projects that you're working on now?
So let me speak about one that I just wrapped up. So a project that I did was called a Brighter Future program. So this program it's really all about equity. It's like health equity, making sure that everybody has a fair shot at health. But in this one, it's more so optical. So we were giving kids free eyeglasses and free eye examinations. So like in school, you know, they have like the health, they have the eye screenings, right? But that doesn't really cover full optical health. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to create a space to where kids can go into the doctor and get the full eye examination for free. So we don't even ask for insurance, none of that. It's a completely free thing. And then if the child does need glasses, then we provide them with them. And out of all the kids we saw, 88% of the children needed glasses. So we were able to really help those kids and really just give them a competitive advantage. And the reason why I'm saying equity is because, you know, it costs money to have glasses. Mm-hmm. You know, and glasses, like, that's like being able to see, that should be, everybody should have the right to see well, right? And it shouldn't matter, you know, like we're living in 2022. Everybody should be able to have access to glasses no matter what, you know, social, economic background that you come from. So that's why I felt like it was really important, because not having glasses at such a young age can really change the trajectory of your learning, you know, just social interactions, everything. So, and one of the big things that I say in the Brighter Future program is we're not giving kids glasses to be better students, but to be, you know, to have, like, not just for them to excel academically, but just in life.
Yeah, that's great. So speaking on that, what does equality mean to you? What's your definition of it?
My definition, most people's definition is equality is making sure, you know, everything is the same. You know, and that's kind of the reason why people more so, when we have these conversations, are leaning more towards equity, because equity really solves the issue versus equality. You know, equality is everybody gets the same. Equity saying we're acknowledging people's differences and their advantages and their disadvantages, and we're allocating properly.
Yeah. So how would you say that equity and youth empowerment are related?
It's definitely a connection there. You know, I want to start with youth voice, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't include youth voice in conversations. And if they do, these days is more like in a tokenizing way, and just like, oh, hey, here's our youth person, and let's, you know, glorify them for the time being, but they don't really get to be a part of the decision-making process. And like, I also understand like why I get it, you know, kids might not always, you know, have the experience needed to actually make decision-making things for, you know, like everybody, adults and things like that. But there's something unique about youth, right? they haven't experienced. And youth voice is so critical because if you don't take in youth voice, then you're blocking out a whole experience. So like, let's say if I want to create a park, right? If I don't get youth voice in that, then that's an issue, because I can make a park and then none of the youth want to go to it because we didn't ask them like what they wanted in it. Or even after the park is built and we ask a bunch of adults like, okay, what was your experience at the park? Okay, cool. Yeah, it was nice or whatever, but we need the youth because that's a different perspective. Mm-hmm. So, when we talk about diversity and inclusion, if we're not including every experience, not just, sex, gender, like we got to include age in that too. So yeah, youth voice and youth as a whole is really important in equity, because youth voice really helps equity become a thing, because you see the need from hearing the voice. So yeah.
So what do you think that we can do as children to bring in all perspectives and to bring equality and equity into our lives?
Okay, ask that again.
So what do you think that like we can do in our daily lives to bring in equity?
Listen. Listening is a huge part of community organizing. I don't do anything for the most part in community engagement if I don't listen. And the reason why it's important is because, how can you help provide equity if you don't listen to what's happening? Which is a main part of what I was saying about youth voice. You have to listen, because that's like the key part of community organizing. So yeah, like, a lot of times, like we always use the example, there were, like, let's say there's a neighborhood, right, in a low-income community, a lot of crime, right? And some decision makers are making a decision. It's like, hey, we're going to put a park there, and that way it's going to reduce crime or whatever. And it's like, so then whenever it gets built, nobody's satisfied. Mm-hmm. Why? Because you didn't ask them. We didn't want a park. We just wanted more streetlights because it's really dark out here. You see what I'm saying? It's like you have to listen instead of just doing. And, that's not just about decision makers. It's about everybody. It's about anybody who does anything, or just, everybody. Like, if you just listen to your neighbor, listen to somebody around you, it helps.
Okay, what gaps might exist in the social emotional development within the EVR youth community?
Whew. Okay, ask me the question again.
What gaps do you think exist in the social emotional development within the EVR youth community?
Wow. So as far as like social emotional gaps, I guess I can go back to the listening piece, and then it's the validation for me. That's what it is. It's the validation, because a lot of times people say that they listen, but even when they do listen, children aren't validated. Like I wear a mask all the time that says like children are people, because people just don't see youth as like they see them as students. That's a role.
Yeah. They're
human beings. They have emotions. They feel. They engage in things like, oh my gosh, I hate whenever okay, it was a meeting that's supposed to be like 4 hours, but then it goes virtual, and like I was on a meeting, like I was on a Zoom call whenever everything went virtual with a bunch of decision makers with different schools, youth organizations and whatnot. And somebody said that, it's an 8-hour school day or 8-hour work day, and they wanted to make the kids go 8 hours virtual. I was so mad. I'm like, would you go 8 hours virtual? Like, that is insane. Like, adults ask youth to do things that they would never do. And that burns me up. So, as far as like the social emotional, I really feel like youth just need to be validated and not be tokenized.
Yeah, that makes sense. So how do you think that we can help close that gap?
Just being real intentional about looking at each other as people, whether it's a child, an adult, like just looking at each other as people, that have feelings, emotions. You know, we all aren't the best at days. You know, giving each other grace. I feel like grace is a like validation and grace. We don't give each other grace a lot. You know, because a lot of times, even if I don't know a person, like if they kind of brush me off the road, sometimes I think, okay, maybe they're just having a bad day. You know what I mean? Like, just giving people grace. You never know what somebody is going through. So I feel like, you know, making sure that we're validating people's emotions, even though we don't agree with them at times, right? You know, but you can still acknowledge that they feel the way that they feel and then give them grace. So I feel like grace and validation would really help.
Yeah. What are some ways that you think the 4-H program offers youth empowerment?
Okay, run that back.
What are ways that you think the 4-H program offers youth empowerment?
I feel like a way that the 4-H club really takes on youth empowerment is through, okay, let me run it back. Hold on, give me 1 second.
Background about
Okay.
and also how you got in 4-H.
Okay.
All right, can you ask it again?
Yeah. What are some ways that you think the 4-H program offers youth empowerment?
Got you. So I feel like 4-H offers youth empowerment, and so one specific way, right, is at 4-H Camp Grant Walker, right? It is a week where, and I personally love it, is because it's youth really get a chance. Like when you see kids come back from that camp, they're like different people. Like really, like it's so much transformational things that happen at that camp because they give the kids a schedule and they kind of just do their own thing. And it gives them the autonomy to like understand this is what a schedule is like. This is what I need to do at this certain time. And I don't have like an adult like saying we got to go in single file line and try to get there. Like it's a beautiful thing. And that's the reason why I like to volunteer is because I don't have to hold their hand through it, but I can coach them through that experience. And I love doing that. And not only do you have like the kids that are like a 4th, 5th grade, but you also have high schoolers that are the counselors. So that gives even the older side of youth an opportunity to have a leadership position to guide the youth. So it's so much youth empowerment in Camp Grant Walker, and I love it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Martin Luther King Day coming up, our club hopes to serve up.
Perfect, yeah.
With Martin Luther King Day coming up, our 4-H club hopes to serve others and help others. Do you have any specific ideas on what we can do for this day?
Yeah, you know, well, the first thing is great to acknowledge it. You know, I love whenever people do like days of service and things like that. To be honest, I really like to say just go wherever your heart is. You know, whatever you feel like is celebrating service and you know, just loving somebody else. You know, that's what it's about. It's about love, and it's just, you know, showing certain ways, because what is service but love? So I think, you know, that's the good lens, and just, you know, whenever you go out, you participate or you do whatever, just keep, you know, love in mind, and you'll be all right.
Yeah, thank you. Why do you think Martin Luther King Day of service is important?
Well, so Martin Luther King Day of Service is really important in a lot of ways, and it's honestly taught me a lot of different lessons through having my own project. So in 2020, I did my own Martin Luther King. Well, I partnered with Front Yard Bikes, and we did a Martin Luther King Day project. You know, one thing to remember is nobody owns Martin Luther King Day. You know, we like, just because you're not involved with the big project over here or the big project over there, we like, it's something for everybody, right? It's hold on, let me redo that.
No, that was so good. That was so good. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, I let all the political stuff get
Sometimes it's, I know, yeah.
The message.
get in my head. I was like, oh Lord, I don't want nobody to feel like I'm taking shots. But all right, cool. Go ahead. Can you ask me it again?
Okay. Why do you think Martin Luther King Day of service is important?
So I feel like Martin Luther King Day of Service is important. So I've actually done, you know, like a Martin Luther King Day of Service like project myself. I partnered with Front Yard Bikes, and I learned a lot of lessons during that because like I was so eager to join the big Martin Luther King Day celebration that was happening over here or over here. And when someone asked me to, host this one with them, I was just kind of like, oh, but I was planning on doing this one. That one, I'm just like, it's so many different things. Like, we can share the work. You know what I mean? Like, we can share the work. Nobody owns Martin Luther King Day. I hope nobody, I don't think anybody tries to either. But it's just more so like, it's for everybody. This work is for all of us. And I feel like that's a really big part of Martin Luther King's message. That's why he collaborated with so many people. Like, community organizing is collaborating. So just knowing that this work is owned by nobody, but it's also owned by all of us. So that's a really key thing to know about Martin Luther King Day. So anything that you do is great. Another reason why I feel like it's important is because people think that they just picking up trash or they just painting this building or they just doing whatever and then they leave and they feel good about themselves that one day or whatever and they just, think but it's serious. A lot of the projects that happen for Martin Luther King Day are usually beautification projects. Most of the time. That's usually what it is. Either cleanup or like painting or something, which is all beautification. And beautification is so serious because it changes the whole atmosphere in the room. So when we talk about curing violence, like I have a company called Cure with Love Strategies, and that's what we do. We cure with love. And, and that's what having a nice space feels like. It feels like love. It feels like compassion. It feels like, it just creates a different type of atmosphere and energy. So when you're doing these beautifications projects, you are cleaning up a space or painting a space to where whenever I show up somewhere, it just does something. You ever walked in a room that's just very aesthetically pleasing and it just does something to you? You go into a nice restaurant, you see the lights, you see all of it, and it's just like, wow, I like being here. What if you went into your neighborhood and you felt like that every day? What if you went into a school and you felt like that? It'll change the whole trajectory. Like, that's the reason why I'm big on beautification in schools. Make it to where kids want to be in school. Make it to where, kids want to be in these spaces. So the project that I did in 2020 with Front Yard Bikes is it's a long line of other things that I had going on. I do a dodgeball tournament. Whatever charity wins, they win a couple $1,000s, and then we go collaborate and do a thing together. So the thing that we chose to do was to repaint the basketball court at Front Yard Bikes. And because it was it wasn't painted, it needed a fresh coat, it was a lot of other things that needed to be done. And whenever we showed up that day, it was so many different people and it was beautiful. I really enjoyed the whole day. And the kids asked me, I was like, hey, boo, are you going to come whenever the court finished drying and come play basketball with us? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'll come back. It was a Monday, so I was like, yeah, I'll come back Thursday or whatever, and we could all play. So what happened was, Front Yard Bikes, it goes from the young kids to older kids, high school all the way to elementary. And a lot of the older kids don't show up. They think like they're too cool for it, or, they got other stuff going on. I get it. And what happened was, when we repainted that court, a lot of the older kids started showing back up again. Mm-hmm. And that's the impact of beautification. It made it aesthetically pleasing. It was nice. So now, these kids are in high school are in a safe place. Now, let me take it a step further. In the middle of us playing basketball is me and a bunch of the high schoolers, right? And, what happened was, while we were playing basketball, somebody came, ran straight into the center, barefoot, just running full speed. What happened? Well, somebody just got, one of their friends had just they think got shot. And there was some shooting that was happening down the street. And when the guy came running in, as they aged, they was like, man, what's going on? And told me, and they was like, man, I wish I was there. And I'm just no, I'm glad you wasn't. Yeah. You know what I mean? But beautiful, that's how beautification actually works in real life. It is like literally like I saw the line from this court wasn't painted, older kids wasn't coming. We painted the court. They started coming more. They are in a safe space. That is literally like an obvious example of how beautification changes things. So that's why these things are important to me. That's why I feel like it's very important for MLK projects and, just beautification projects, period.